Welcome. In this lesson, we're going to learn to find the volume of a sphere or a ball. Now, the easiest way to remember this is that we want to think about doing a cylinder that the ball barely fits in. If the ball barely fits in the cylinder, then the radius of the base of the cylinder is the same as the radius of the ball, and the height of the cylinder would be the diameter or twice the radius. So the cylinder's volume that this ball fits into would just be pi r squared h, where the height, remember, is just the diameter or twice the radius. If we simplify this, we get a pi, and then there's the 2, times radius squared and another radius squared times another r is an r cubed. So in other words, this 2 pi r cubed right here is the volume of the cylinder that the ball would fit in. Now, the ball doesn't take up all of this space of the cylinder. There's all this empty space around the ball. That happens to be a third of the cylinder that's empty. So in other words, the ball takes up 2/3 of the space of a cylinder that it fits in. So the volume for a cylinder, if we multiply the 2/3 times this 2 here, is 4/3 pi r cubed. That's the formula. I'd either write it down, or remember, you take 2/3 of the volume of the cylinder that it barely fits in, which means the height of the cylinder would be twice the radius, or the diameter of the ball, and the radius of the base of the cylinder would be the same as the radius of the ball. For this particular one, it gave us a radius of 1, so we do 1 cubed, which is 1, times pi, which is 3.14, and do 4/3 of that, and we get 4.19. So now here's one that's a little differently because it has a radius of 7. But again, I want to draw the diagram and show you how to do this. Again, I've written down the formula. Now remember, it's 2/3 the volume of the cylinder that the ball would barely fit in. And remember, the cylinder's height is this height right here, which is twice the radius. So the height of the cylinder is 2r, the base of the cylinder is pi r squared, and we're going to take 2/3 of that cylinder. So when we take the 2 times the r, that's the height, and multiply it by the 2/3, 2 times 2 gives us the 4/3. We have the pi, and then we have an r squared times another r, which is an r cubed, or the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 times 3.14 times the radius of the sphere is 7, so 7 cubed. I just do that on a calculator and get 1,436.03, since it says round to the nearest hundredth. Now I'm all the way up to 94. I noticed that it doesn't look like they're going to have you go backwards where you have to find the radius. But do be careful. They gave me the diameter in this particular one, so I have to half the diameter to get the radius. So it's 36.9 that I'm cubing, because remember, volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. And don't forget to cube it. You'll accidentally square it because we're technically used to squaring, but it's cubed. And then you can get very large numbers. 36.9 cubed, it's a very big number. 210,352.41. So just be very careful that you use the radius and you cube it, times it by pi, and then times it by 4/3, or take 4/3. If you have any questions, please do bring them to class.